Well, hello and welcome to another episode of Friday Night Chill with Will. I'm Will, and I hope you guys have been doing good. I've been okay. Um, we've just been kind of hanging in there, man. The past couple months has been kind of wild in the real world, and so um, doing the podcast and all that stuff has been not a big priority for me. I've just been kind of focused on not losing my mind. So that's just kind of where we're at the moment. But I did want to come on here tonight because I just kind of wanted to have a little fun nerd out moment and talk about some stuff that, I'm interested in. So yeah, I hope you will indulge me in gushing out, sort of harking back to the roots of this YouTube channel. If you're watching this on YouTube, we're talking about Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Reignition, the, I guess, relaunch of the Power Rangers brand, this time through Playmates. So if I understand the relationship correctly, I don't follow any of the news sites in that community anymore. I have the Toku Nation website pulled up because that's like one of the only places I can still remember where I know they have stuff and like news for all this type of shit. And so I knew to look up that, but in terms of like when all this stuff happened, I don't have any fucking idea. Luckily, I still have like Adam and Billy as my like ties to that community. So if something's happening, usually they let me know about it, and I can stay up to date on whatever the fuck is happening. But yeah, this is so if I understand the relationship correctly with what's happening with this, Playmates now has the master toy license for the Power Rangers brand, but Power Rangers as a complete entity is still owned by Hasbro. So I don't know if that means Hasbro can still make Ranger stuff even though Playmates has the master toy license. I don't know. All I know is that Playmates is making Power Rangers toys now. Because I guess every toy company is going to get a shot at this at some fucking point. Maybe in 10 years we'll see Mattel take a whack at it. Who even fucking knows anymore? But regardless, Hasbro's trying to not make toys on their own anymore. They're really trying to. It's not exclusive to Power Rangers. They are just, as a company, trying to just do third parties for like all of their toy making. I wouldn't be surprised if they're even trying to figure it out for Transformers, but I think Transformers still sell decently enough where it doesn't bother them that much. But I don't know, that whole company is in a weird state at the moment. But yeah, we're getting this, and it is a Mighty Morphin Power Rangers reboot line, kind of. Not kind of, it is. That's what it is. And the best thing I can compare this to, that makes any kind of sense, is the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers 2010 line, which was at the end of Disney's run with the franchise, where they paid some editors to add comic book effects and other weird edits to like the first 30 episodes of MMPR, and there was a toy line that followed that. And the only thing that I will say is different about this Reignition line as opposed to that, the 2010 line was very much, okay, here's MMPR, and we are just throwing in a bunch of random shit into this toy line. So it was like MMPR with race cars, MMPR with weird glider things on their backpacks. Like it was a weird toy. They even had these weird figures that were like flip phones, and they transformed into Red and Green Ranger figures. So it's so cursed. I thought I almost got one of those on eBay once because I saw a listing for like one for $11, and I thought, I just kind of wanted it for the meme. But the listing ended up not working, so I didn't get one of those things, which may be a blessing. But regardless, that's the closest comparison I can find. But like, the 2010 line was just a bunch of random nonsense, mixed in with a handful of things from MMPR the show. So I don't know. It wasn't very well thought out. I think it was just something to kind of fill the shelves at retailers for a year. It was a weird time for the brand because like Disney wasn't doing anything with it, and I think they were like in the middle of selling it off to Saban brands so they could do whatever the fuck they were gonna do next. But this seems more like the very retro inspired. It seems like the the people designing and creating this toy line were like, okay, let's look at the hits from the 90s, like the things in the 90s that sold well, and let's update those things to today. Because some standouts that I'm seeing in this toy line include the Auto Morphin figures, which is like a staple for Power Rangers figures. I'm seeing the battle bikes, which is different. Seeing some villain figures, which is always a fun time, and we're seeing some role play items, and I'm even seeing the 8-inch figures that were like super popular back in the 90s. That had like I think they had karate chop action, or like some of them did. I didn't personally have a lot of those. I have one nowadays. I have a Red Ranger one that I got in a lot from some other stuff on eBay a few years back, but I never like specifically collected those figures. But we're seeing a lot of the key hits from the old toy line just sort of reinvented and updated, which is actually honestly pretty cool. So let's just kind of go down the list and just like see what we got. So let's see. So we got the Automorphin figures, which those look interesting. These were like the first figures that we saw from the line, and so at first I thought this was going to be like the baseline figure of the line, and I was just like, oh, okay. I mean, that's certainly a choice. I understand wanting them to be the main figures of the line, but it certainly is a choice, you know? Because they are kind of, it's weird because like I feel like the Automorphin, like I guess technology, if you want to call it that, to use a technical term, I don't know, I just feel like it could have gotten so much more streamlined in 30 years. And like the figures definitely look a little bit better than the 90s. Obviously there's more detail and stuff, but I don't know, they still feel very bulky for some reason, especially the girl figures. Like I don't know, I feel like, I don't know, I still feel like they're very overly bulky for what they are. But I mean, for what they are, they look cool. The head sculpts look fairly decent. I think, honestly, if I'm looking at the civilian head sculpts, a lot of them are very similar to the Lightning collection, just in terms of like the expression and stuff. So I don't know. I'm wondering if I wonder what they use for reference for like stuff from Mighty Morphin. I'm really curious like about that type of stuff, because we have Tommy with the green bandana, which is obviously, it's not even a bandana, it's just a headband that he's wearing around his head. But yeah, I'm always curious what they use for reference for these types of figures. But they look good for what they are, and they look fun. So that's just sort of my thing. The weapons have a decent amount of paint on them. They're not in the retro style like Hasbro's were, where they are explicitly trying to make the old figure but like kind of updated a little bit. These are new figures with that same idea, if that makes any kind of sense. So that it's like all the accessories aren't white and like flat like the old ones were. These are new molds and new accessories and that type of stuff. So I mean, these look fun. And then on top of them, we also have a bunch of villain figures. And right out the gate, the lineup is actually, I don't know why it took so long for a toy line to nail it, but Playmates nailed it. The MMPR 2010 line did not have a Rita figure in it, even though the season that was airing on the TV at the time was Rita as the villain. They had a Zed figure in the line for some fucking reason. I guess they thought at the time that they would get that far, or I don't know. I don't know. They were doing a lot of weird stuff in that toy line. But yeah, we have pretty much all the main people from the villains. We got Rita, Goldar, we got some putties, and we got Squat and Babu. And I cannot recall the last time Squat and Babu got action figures. It has to have been at least over 10, 15 years. Probably even more than that, if I'm being for real. And then we have King Sphinx in there, which it kind of missed me a little bit, because it's just like you could have swapped out King Sphinx for Finster, but Finster already got a really good figure in the Lightning collection, so I think we're good on him for a while. He could probably be in the next wave or whatever, but I don't know. They hit the nail on the head with the villain figures. The accessories look cool. Rita looks decent. It's always weird seeing her as a figure, just because we never really got that many. I think this is only like the fourth or fifth Rita figure we've ever gotten. It might be a little bit more than that at this point, but yeah, we haven't gotten very many figures of Rita throughout the years. But it's very well sculpted. Everything is very well sculpted. I really like the color layout on all the villain figures. Everything looks sort of like true to what we see in the show, which is like very cool. Obviously, not everything is picked out in paint, because one thing that is gagging me are these price points. One thing I love about Playmates is their price points are the best in the industry. When I look at the like Turtles stuff or Godzilla stuff, whatever properties they own, those price points are insane. They are still selling action figures for $10 or under in this economy, which is insanity to me, and I am here for it. I love that. Because I think the whole idea of this toy line is that it is supposed to, bring kids in. And if the line is cheaper, obviously the barrier to entry, gets a little bit lower, so kids can actually get into it, because they can just bring a figure to their parent, and their parent will be like, okay, this thing's only $10. Sure, whatever, and throw it in the cart. So yeah, these price points are wonderful. I'm gagging over all of them. They're great. And so I'm skipping through all of the... God, the just the sculpting on the villain figures is just honestly so good for what they are. So great. Next we got the battle bikes here, which is super cool. And like seeing all of this on display, it's sort of just like clicked for me, just sort of what had been missing from Rangers as a toy line the past 4 or 5 years, really, is sort of with the Hasbro run, is we weren't really seeing a lot of like imaginative play come into effect with a lot of the toy lines they had. They had a lot of these same types of things, but just the way they were executed just sort of lacked imagination, and they were very like straightforward. These battle bikes have like this weird chest armor thing. It's like a vest with an arm attached to the bike that you put on the fully articulated figure, fully painted figure that comes with this. Bandai America could never with this. And it attaches on like a vest type of thing, and then you flip a switch on the bike, and it launches the Ranger out of the bike, so you can like have him like kick another figure. It just has an aspect of imaginative play that I think has been missing from the Ranger toy line for years, and it's just very cool to see it on display here. And I really hope they, as this toy line goes on, they get it a little bit more creative with it, because this is all like looking super cool. And then next up, I don't know if these are supposed to be the $20 price point like collector figures. I don't think they're doing that. I don't think they are, but it's hard to say because like these figures look like they have the same level of articulation as the figures that come with the bikes. So I didn't see anything about a $20 price point figure. So I'm assuming these are just some regular. I think they said the scale is a little bit over 5 inches. So we have the full 6 MMPR figures. Apparently, Grand Ranger is coming in 2026. So we'll see how that goes. We'll see how these dates actually pan out. I am not familiar with Playmates' release track records and how well those coincide to, like real life, because we all know Hasbro can, as a company, can sometimes release stuff like 3 months early and just be like, oh yeah, whoops, I guess we missed that shipment. Forgot to let you guys know. We're going to charge you for it anyway, even though you planned to drop all this money 3 months from now. We're going to charge you right now because that shipment came in already. So sorry, be mad about it. But yeah, I think these are like just basic 5-inch figures. Articulation on them looks solid. The sculpting looks interesting. It's the way they're doing the joints is very interesting because it's like a folded cloth type of thing, and it like kind of hides it, but it kind of doesn't. I don't know. The style is very different. I will say it is interesting to have yet another toy company that I think what it is whenever these companies make a Red Ranger figure, they never put the silver stripe, like pinstripe, around the visor. And so when it comes to seeing the figure, it looks like it's missing something. And it always makes the figure look weird. So I don't know. These are all prototypes, so they could change upon actual release, because I'm seeing the Pink Ranger figure here is just an entirely pink head. There's like no white details on there. I'm thinking that's just going to be a prototype thing. I hope it's just a prototype thing, because there are other things on display that have the helmet the correct way. So I'm thinking it'll just be a prototype thing, and that'll be fixed by the time it releases. But yeah, all those look good. It looks like the weapons can combine, which is awesome. We always love that. That's a fun time. And yeah, the paint looks really decent on all of them. They just look fun. That's the thing about all of this. It all looks fun. One thing I will say about this whole like experience of like just seeing all of this shown off is this is probably the first time in over 10 years where I saw a Ranger toy line like get revealed, and I didn't have Twitter to go to kind of like see the reaction of it. It was just something I sort of got to see and enjoy what I could from it. Because, I mean, ultimately, everything here is not for me. Because there's plenty of things that they have on display here that I'm just particularly not interested in. And I mean, most of it, if I'm being for real, like I could totally pass up on all of this, but out of my pure curiosity for like what is happening with this toy line, I want to grab a few things just to see, what the tea is with all of it. And it just looks fun. I don't know. It looks fun. I don't have any like big feelings about where Rangers is at right now. Power Rangers Prime is going on right now, going this year. It's very good. If y'all aren't reading that, you should be reading that. It's nice to actually feel caught up in the comics again. It's a fun time. So, I don't know. Rangers is in such a weird place at the moment that I'm just sort of enjoying what I can with it and just sort of taking it for what it is. I don't have big expectations for it, and I'm just sort of crossing my fingers and hoping for the best. because the whole idea of this line is to reinvigorate a new child audience for the brand, which is, that makes sense. That's the whole point of Power Rangers. It's a kids brand, and it's been, difficult finding that audience, because I don't know, like, maybe they just forgot about. I think maybe what might have happened is they sort of defaulted in the last couple years of the Hasbro time, making toys for it, to just like making stuff specifically for collectors. And I don't know, I think in doing that, we kind of lost all the fun, because they weren't really making stuff for kids. I mean, obviously, there was still the Dino Fury toy line, the Cosmic Fury toy line. The Cosmic Fury toy line is like 3 things. But, the Beast Morphers toy line. So, but they just didn't have that imagination that I'm seeing on display here. And maybe it's nostalgia sort of blinding me. I don't really know. I don't typically feel like I have MMPR nostalgia like that, because I don't know. But maybe I do. I don't know. But I don't know. This just looks so much more fun compared to like what we've been seeing the past few years from Hasbro. So, and to me, like, I'm very excited. So moving on, we have what is called the Ultimate Megazord with Power Sword. So this looks like just a posable Megazord figure that has sounds and phrases, and it's fully articulated with the Power Sword. I guess has phrases too. Yeah, and this looks cool. If you don't want to buy your kid separate Zords, because they are selling the combinable Zord separately, you can just get the Megazord figure, and there you go. They got a Megazord, which is cool, and it's got elbow joints. So it's got elbow joints and a waist joint. That's pretty cool. Yeah, it looks cool. It looks like a cool thing. It's probably pretty cheap. Let me see if this is on that list I have. It's not here, so I don't know how much this could be. If it's in the same category as the Zords, the individual Zords their MSRP is $17.99, which is, again, these price points, I am living for them. So I would say it's probably that. With the sounds, maybe it's 20 max. I would hope it wouldn't be any more than that, but it looks fun. But yeah, now we go on to the individual Dinozords that combine together when you buy all 5 separately. $17.99, again, wonderful price point. Looks like they come with effect parts. Some of them do. The pterodactyl comes with effect parts and like minifigures of the Rangers to sort of make that one, because that one's kind of the hardest sell, because the pterodactyl is just a chess piece. They like added articulation to the head and gave it like a mouth, so it's like, all right, cool, there we go, we made that a little bit more complicated, so there you go, it's something. But I don't know. The minifigures that it comes with do look cool. They are painted very well, so that sort of helps the whole thing. When they're combined into tank mode, it looks decent. They have it mistransformed, so like the cannons aren't on display. The people who are in charge of these shows don't really know all that, so I'm not gonna hold it too much against them. There's some missing paint and some stuff, but compared to the promotional images we're seeing, I don't think these are final versions of the toys. But one thing I did notice is the Mastodon Zord. So different things, different versions of it have had the insides of the feet hollow, just to save on plastic. But it looks like the back legs are filled out on both sides, and that's great, because the back legs are what we see in tank mode. So we won't have that weird like gap in the tank mode. So they thought that part out, and that's wonderful. I'm excited for that. The overall combined Megazord, I think they said it was like 15 inches or so combined. It's slightly shorter than their Voltron, that Playmates does, and that's wonderful. It's decently articulated too. I think this is about the same level of articulation as that. I think it'll be impressive when the whole thing is together. It does have a little like oddities to it. The tail of the saber-tooth tiger and triceratops do look a little bit strange, especially because like the red detail on the knees just looks kind of small. But there's only so much you can do depending on like what they're doing with the articulation and stuff, because it looks like the saber-tooth's tail is articulated in a few spots and it has like the missile firing and all that. So there's pros and cons, but I think overall the Megazord is like a pretty cool. It looks pretty cool, you guys, and I think kids will get a kick out of this. I think it's gonna look great when it's all together, and I really enjoy that. The Tyrannosaurus does have weird tumors on its knees, like it gets nowadays, because the way they do that combination joint is different with every toy company. But they don't look as pronounced as like other iterations of the Tyrannosaurus Zord. So, yeah, that looks great. Then we got some masks for roleplay, which those are fine. I think the Green Ranger is coming in. I think this first, like 2025, is just going to be the main 5 Rangers, and anything with the Green Ranger is going to be next year, because that's what I noticed on all their displays. Is everything in front of the Green Ranger said 2026, so probably early at the beginning of next year, because I was looking through the Toku Nation article, and they did mention that they do have plans. They have a plan to continue the line for the next 2 to 3 years, and so the idea is to pull more than just season 1 stuff. So they do want to keep the line going for a few years. They do have a Dragon Zord, I believe, planned for next year, which is super cool. Typically with like Mighty Morphin stuff, they always get to the Megazord, no problem. But when it comes to Dragon Zord and Titanus, they always get left in the dust. So Dragon Zord will be cool. If they can maintain that price point, that would be incredible. Titanus would probably have to be a little bit bigger, I would think. But, I mean, I don't know. I don't know how far, if they even plan on doing Titanus, but that would be amazing. To see a fully realized new Ultra Zord for kids, I think would be super cool. For kids, too, especially. The Ultra Zord's a cool Zord, and it just has a presence to it. So I think kids would really get a kick out of that. We are getting a Power Morpher, which we're getting more into the roleplay stuff now. Power Morpher is $16.99, and I could not believe that price when I saw it. I was like, you have got to be kidding. There is no way that Morpher is $16.99. And sure enough, right here, MSRP, $16.99. Comes with 5 power coins. You have the Power Morpher, and supposedly it comes with 40 plus phrases and sound effects. Now, as far as sound effects, from what I was able to hear from like the very bad audio of a video I saw, the sound effects sound pretty decent. In terms of phrases, I think we're getting just royalty-free random person in a booth saying Power Ranger things, which is fine. Honestly, I don't care about them digging through old audio and trying to clean it up. It would be cool, but I think that would be more fitting for like a collector thing. If this is like a kid thing, the kids don't fucking care like what the voice is. They just want to hear Mastodon, Pterodactyl, all that stuff. It's Morphin time, all the things. So that's really cool. I just want to pick up this Morpher because it's so cheap, if I'm being for real. Now, in terms of functionality, I think the Morpher, it has 2 buttons at the top. So some of the press photos I've seen, it looks like it has buttons at the top as opposed to on the side where the handle is, because it doesn't look like the one they're showing has a button there. So that's certainly different. I'd be more upset if it was more expensive, but it's honestly so cheap I don't really care. I'm just curious. Like, this is something where I'm just like, I want to get it because I'm curious. I could watch a review, but I'd rather just buy it and look at it myself because it's so cheap. Who fucking cares? You know what I mean? And another function of it that I thought was really cool is the Morpher will recognize each individual coin. So that's cool. And it just makes me think, like, the Hasbro Lightning Collection Morpher is not that different from this thing. And I think this thing will probably have more sounds than that thing does. And I gotta tell you, that thing went for $50, I think. I got 4 of mine for like half off because I found a bunch that were on clearance. So I ended up getting 5 total. So I have like 1 with each coin in it because I had always seen a bunch of people do that, and it was like my one chance in life to do that. Because power morphers are so freaking expensive in the aftermarket, especially if like they're original Bandai ones. Those are like $100 easy. And I mean, I guess you could attribute some of that cost for the Lightning Collection Morpher to, I guess, diecast, because the coins were diecast in that. But I don't know, man. These price points are just like insane and just so insanely affordable. And it's just really cool to see. Like, it just seems like something so easy, like people can get into if they want. And I think that accessibility is going to be so key to whatever it is they're trying to do here. So moving on to more roleplay weapons, we have the Blade Blaster, which looks pretty decent. They made it kind of a little bit boxier. I think that might have been so that way they could kind of get away with standards and practices, so they wouldn't have to make the tip of the gun like super orange and make it like super weird looking. That's just the thing with American toys with guns. The tip has to be orange or modified in some way to make it obvious that it's not a gun, even though it's a toy. So yeah, it should be pretty obvious that it's not a gun. But I digress. It looks neat. It looks perfectly fine. It has sort of an auto transforming feature. So when you pull the top part of it back and fold it into the blade mode, you don't get that weird in-between mode where the blade isn't popped out. It just goes gun, blade mode. And honestly, that's cool because we don't need that in-between mode. It's just for when it's in the holster and not doing anything. So that's fun. I think it's got lights and sounds, 20 plus lights, phrases, and sound effects. Yeah, that's wonderful. They have a dragon dagger on display. That one had another sign for 2026. That one comes with a dragon coin that the person in the video I watched did mention will unlock sounds in the Power Morpher, which is perfectly fine. Obviously, it'd be cool if they did a separate release for, Tommy, with his, gold morpher. But for now, I think that's perfectly fine. Maybe they have some type of plan for a morpher next year. With Tommy, I don't know how they would do that, honestly. I guess they would just start introducing White Ranger stuff right away, but I don't know if they would do that. I think they would probably hold off on that, but I don't know. We'll see. Regardless, you get a coin, so that way you can put it in a morpher, and kids can still morph into Tommy if they want to. So that's cool. And then at the end, we just sort of got a random assortment of things. It looks like some minifigures of stuff. We got the Zords, the villains, and the Rangers. Those are all very well detailed. They look very cool. We got those 8-inch figures I talked about earlier. They look honestly so identical to the Bandai versions. It was I looked hard at them for a few minutes and I was like, did they just get the old Bandai figures and put them on display? But I noticed that the Yellow Ranger had waist articulation, and I don't believe those figures had waist articulation. So that is a new level of articulation that the Playmates ones will have, and those look super cool. They're retro inspired. They're nearly 1-for-1 exact replicas of the original 8-inch figures, which is insane. And then you have some cute little plushies in front of them, and they're like chibi style or whatever. But yeah, so that's the toy line. That's just the toy line like what we saw. And it all looks cool. I'm not even gonna mess around with you guys. It all looks cool. It all looks fun. And that's my biggest takeaway, is that it looks super fun. I'm really hopeful about this whole thing. So other details we learned from Toy Fair is that accompanying this toy line, starting in July on Netflix, they are going to be using AI to enhance the original show. I've heard enhance. Other articles say remaster. So it's hard to know what exactly that means. I hear AI and immediately get an ick. However, I'm of two minds because, one, I know the masters for this fucking show are who knows where. They probably don't even know where. Who knows where they are. So, when it comes to remastering this show, I think AI was always sort of going to be the only real way we could see HD versions of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. So, in terms of how that will look, who's to say? Who can say how it will actually look? I hope it's not overly waxy, because I've seen examples of remastering old footage with AI, and some examples are better than others, and I just hope it's something that they took time on and weren't overly eager to do. And I just hope there's some care put into it to actually make it look good. So that is coming to Netflix in July, and right now the first season is locked for that to happen. So they are at least going to attempt doing that to the first season, but their goal is to do all 3 seasons to coincide with Playmates toy releases, because like I said earlier, Playmates is planning this toy line to go for the next couple years, because they really do want to sort of reinvigorate interest in the brand in terms of like the kid market. So we'll see how that looks. It will be interesting to see. Well, actually, Mighty Morphin, I think, is still on Netflix. I think that's the only Ranger series that's still on Netflix, and then maybe Beast Morphers and Ninja Steel. But I think, yeah, I mean, if that happens, we'll have 3 different versions of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers on Netflix. That'll be interesting. I did see that on the signage they have Netflix, Ninja Kids TV, and YouTube prominent. I think the AI remasterings are coming to YouTube as well, because I think Playmates, I'm pretty sure Playmates is just taking the helm for a lot of this brand. They sort of recognize that Power Rangers as it is, just sort of YouTube and Netflix are like the best places for it to exist right now. And then this Ninja Kids thing, that's something I've seen on YouTube for a while now, since probably like 2017, maybe even earlier, maybe like 2015, if I'm being totally for real. I would always see videos like this get recommended whenever you would look up Ranger stuff on YouTube. So considering the logo for it is plastered here at their booth, I'm guessing they might have worked out some sort of partnership with that channel. And honestly, that's a great move if they want to be reaching this new child audience, because whether you like it or not, that YouTube channel, Ninja Kids, that is a massive YouTube channel. I want to say the last time I looked at it, it had like 20 million subscribers, which, you know, we know there are a bunch of kids that are watching videos like that on YouTube all the time. So if this is a way where Power Rangers can sort of get in that bubble and sort of penetrate that and sort of reinvigorate interest with kids, I'm all for it. This seems very well thought out. The AI part really is the only thing that's questionable for me, if I'm being totally for real. But everything else seems very well thought out, and I'm honestly very impressed with all of this. A couple of other bullet points that Togo Nation was able to get is that 10% of the product offering for the line is considered collector driven. So, not very much at all. This is very much a kid centered toy line. So, because both their goal and Hasbro's goal is to get kids' attention in the toy aisle, basically, with this toy line. And apparently Playmates does have the ability to do toys outside of Mighty Morphin, but right now they don't have any plans to do any of that. So that's sort of goes back to what I was saying earlier about the line, planned out for the next 2 or 3 years, which would make sense. There's 3 seasons of Mighty Morphin, so that's 2 to 3 years of toys. So I don't know. That's Reignition. That's what we're seeing, and I don't know, man. I'm happy, if I'm being totally for real. I'm not mad or I don't have any strong negative feelings about any of this stuff. I'm not interested in everything that was on display, but I am intrigued. I like that I'm seeing some kind of inspiration put into Power Rangers again. Is it frustrating as a person who likes the entire franchise that it's something Mighty Morphin related? Yeah, I mean, there's always going to be that thing, but I do appreciate that they are trying to do some type of new interpretation of it, and I just hope it does well enough that we can continue, and they can continue on to celebrate other things from the franchise later on. And, obviously, depending on how this toy line is received, that could also change the plans for the toy line entirely. Maybe they will gauge it to have a little bit more of a collector focus. But I think right now, the idea of focusing Power Rangers as a kid-centric toy brand, like, to grow, is a very smart idea. And I think it's sort of helps Power Rangers get back to its roots of being fun and being goofy and being, I don't know, just being not taking itself too seriously. I hate that idea because it makes it seem like Power Rangers can't be taken seriously, but there's a balance to find, and I think there's just been a lack of imagination with Rangers the past few years, and this truly seems like it has inspiration in it again, and I'm hoping that idea and those feelings like carry through the toy line, and they actually are able to reach a new generation of kids, because that would be super cool. That would be super cool for me. But anyway, I've been running my mouth nonstop for the past 45 minutes. Oh my god, I have not shut up. I bet you guys missed this. I bet you guys missed Will talking about Power Rangers all the fucking time. But yeah, anyway, those are my thoughts on the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Reignition line. Let me know your guys' thoughts in the comments. But yeah, I'm excited for all this, and I hope you are too. And if you got kids, now's a good time to start getting them into this shit, because again, these price points are gag worthy. I will not shut up about the prices. They are amazing. But yeah, anyway, I'm gonna stop talking. I've been talking so much. Oh my gosh, I'm sick of it. But anyway, thank you so much for tuning in tonight. If you guys liked the episode, go ahead and give it a thumbs up, and if you're channel, make sure you hit subscribe so you can see new episodes when I put them out. I probably will not talk about Rangers again for a long while because I'm going to wait till something more significant happens, maybe in July when we find out what this whole AI remastering thing is. But yeah, man, that's going to be it. If you want to keep up with me and what I got going on, you can find me anywhere online at Willie J. Co. I'm in sort of posting on TikTok a little bit more. So, yeah, if you want to, a lot of it is political ramblings because I just have a lot of thoughts and feelings about what is going on in our political climate. So, yeah, I am a multifaceted individual for sure. I forgot to plug Spotify. If you're listening to this on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and all those other places, make sure to follow the show and leave a review or comment and all that fun stuff. Anyway, I this outro is bad. Whatever. Yeah, thank you for tuning in tonight. I'll see you next time for another Friday Night Chill.